High above the sprawling meadows of countryside serenity, a parade of clouds painted stories on the vast canvas of the sky. Their soft, shape-shifting forms moved gently, sculpted by an unseen wind, catching the playful gaze of 8-year-old Eleanor Miller. Her golden hair spilled into the wild grass as she lay flat on her back, face turned upward, tracing with her finger the silhouette of a magnificent dragon gliding through the cerulean expanse. In her small imagination, this dragon roared soundlessly across the heavens, perhaps in search of treasure or a worthy knight to duel. For the child who had felt completely out of place just days ago, these imaginary worlds were fast becoming her solace. Eleanor hadn't wanted to spend the summer at her grandparents' farm, away from her home in the city, far from her buzzing phone, friends, and stuffed animals that sat like sentinels atop her shelf. Her parents had reassured her that spending time outdoors would be good. Different, but fun. But Eleanor had only grumbled in return, her mood soured by a bedroom that smelled of dust and mothballs, the persistent buzzing from the insects outside, and the unfamiliar creak of wooden floorboards beneath her feet. The first 2 mornings on the farm had been lonely. She filled pages of her sketchbook with doodles that lacked inspiration and wandered the empty fields sluggishly, counting every hour until she could be back in her air-conditioned room at home. Then she had drifted aimlessly past the barn and discovered the meadow. It wasn't a big meadow, surrounded on every side by towering oaks with broad, leafy canopies that swayed in the breeze. A smattering of wildflowers speckled its floor, yellow and white blooms dotting the lush green. And above, the vast open sky with no limits, no looming buildings cutting into its expanse. Today, she lay comfortably in her secret spot, pocketing the last hints of reluctance she had carried. Though she missed her friends, she had found new companions to entertain, even if they were ephemeral creatures of vapor that never stayed the same for long. Right now, Eleanor saw a lion with a grand mane chasing after a rabbit as delicate wisps curled and twisted. "Lion's king of the clouds," she murmured, narrating quietly to herself. She didn't hear the crunch of boots on grass until an older voice startled her from her reverie. "Spotted something exciting up there, have you?" Eleanor tilted her head back quickly, her eyes darting toward her grandfather, Harold Miller. She flushed, embarrassed that her cloud game had been overheard. "Just looking," she muttered quickly, propping herself up slightly on her elbows. Harold chuckled warmly. "Looking's good for the soul," he said, easing himself to sit near her with a grunt. "Mind if I join you?" Eleanor shrugged, but in truth, she didn't mind at all. She had barely spoken with him during those past few days beyond polite greetings. He seemed wise but reserved, a man who carried knowledge of a quieter world she wasn't yet accustomed to. For a while, they sat silently. Harold removed his hat and leaned back, letting the sunlight graze his face as Eleanor's gaze returned to the sky. Then he pointed upward. "That big fellow up there reminds me of old Rusty. Best bull I ever owned back in the day. See his horns? There, to the right." Eleanor squinted toward the formation he was pointing at. "Looks more like a snail to me," she countered under her breath. Her grandfather chuckled. "I'd reckon clouds have room for plenty of opinions, Ellie. Lots of shapes to go around." Eleanor hesitated at first, but something about her grandfather's infectious curiosity made her lean in and describe what she had seen earlier. A lion, a rabbit, and the dragon that was now only wispy remnants. Her explanation, though shy, sparked a long exchange between herself and her grandfather. Harold spotted a pickup truck, a kettle boiling over fire, and even a pair of dancing shoes in the skies above, while Eleanor narrated an adventure about sailors rowing cloud-shaped boats toward unknown shores. "Imagination runs in the family," Harold remarked offhandedly after an hour of cloud spotting. Eleanor raised an eyebrow at him, intrigued. "Does Mom have imagination? She never talks about clouds or tells stories." "Oh, she used to. A lot," Harold corrected, a memory-laden smile creeping across his face. "I'd catch her out here just like you, staring up as if the sky were a theater all made for her. Told herself she'd tame every dragon and climb every tower up there." Harold's soft recounting coaxed curiosity into Eleanor's mind, painting her mother as a child she barely recognized. Dreamy, imaginative, and fiercely creative, much unlike the practicality-driven figure that often nudged Eleanor toward focus and structure. By the time the sun dipped closer to evening, Eleanor wasn't ready to leave the meadow behind, but the dinner bell ringing meant there was no room for argument. As Harold straightened himself, dusting his hands, Eleanor stretched, biting her lip before blurting a question that had just dawned on her. "Grandpa, can we come back here tomorrow?" Harold gave her a knowing look. "Clouds won't be going anywhere, Ellie. Same with me." Dinner that evening carried a new sense of closeness as Eleanor shared every cloud shape she'd seen that day and re-explained Harold's tips about cirrus and cumulus clouds. For the first time since her arrival, she didn't dread the next day. She anticipated its possibilities. The meadow became her classroom for an expanding imagination. Day by day, Eleanor's exploration of cloud creatures turned into tales she wrote in her sketchbooks or framed as drawings. Harold's encouragement remained steady, his lessons on clouds morphing smoothly into conversations about farming, history, and weather folklore. Her grandmother Martha sometimes joined their outings too, carrying lemonade and fond memories of skies watched in youth. Weeks rolled like those drifting clouds, transforming Eleanor's perception of the farm. By the season's end, the girl who had ignored the clear skies outside her city window was now envisioning stories everywhere, be it rural skies or urban parks she'd yet to revisit. And though those summer clouds eventually faded into autumn skies, Eleanor knew she carried them with her wherever life led. All she had to do was look up and remember how to see. And though those summer clouds eventually faded into autumn skies, Eleanor knew she carried them with her wherever life led.